Hello everyone, Dr. Kathi Zadai with Warrior Notes, and welcome to Warrior Teens. And I've got our friends back, and my wife Kathi too as well. And ladies, this has been exciting. You all are just amazing, and I'm so thankful for you all. So mature for your ages, and God's using this program to help teens. And I just wish I had something that I could watch like this, and so because I could identify. Even as a teenager, I was spiritual, but there wasn't a lot of spirituality around me, and so it's kind of interesting how a lot of satanic people that were spiritual with different cults and things like that. I was like a target for those people. I was constantly being bombarded with Satanists and Wicca and New Age and all these different this stuff, and but I didn't have anybody to tell me, so they were giving me attention. And so it's just so funny, like this morning, like right before we did this, I was looking on my phone, and an advertisement on Facebook came up, and it was, you can get all of the manuals, all 8 manuals of Wicca for 75% off only today, And I'm thinking, people get mad if I advertise, my book, my prayer book, or, something that's going to help people. And yet they're just blatantly, advertising Wicca now. So anyway, because of that, I wish that I would have had more input and things like this. So that's why we're doing these shows. So thanks for helping us and coming on, ladies. I really appreciate it. But one of the things that Jesus instructed me in heaven is that I was to treat children as adults, which kind of is shocking to some people that, because, kids are kids, It's like, well, when I was growing up, I couldn't wait to be an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always trying to be an adult. I wanted to be an adult. I was interested in growing up and being someone, but I was someone. And so I think that we have it wrong, because Jesus didn't allow the disciples to restrict the kids, the children from coming. And I feel that what Jesus said to me was, the kids role play. They want to be grown up. They want to be important. They want to be heroes. And I feel like we need to instill that. So what I wanted to talk about is there's giftings that I saw that are deposited in people. They're predetermined. So I saw, all the secular musicians. I saw that they were given gifts as children, and so when I came back from heaven. And this is what I want to discuss with you, is when I came back from heaven, I had seen where I could name them to you, and I don't mind naming them to you, but there was a guy named Luther Vandross and Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and there were several others. And it was even the guy that was in the Jackson 5, the Michael Jackson, little Michael Jackson. I saw that they were all given gifts, and that they were actually called to be minstrels and prophetic voices, and that they were given gifts, that they were supposed to preach the gospel and sing the gospel. And so I started to look into it to see their background, what they were doing as kids, and they were all in church. In fact, Mariah Carey and Luther Vandross, I believe they were in the same choir together, and Whitney Houston, they were all in choir in church. And what happens is the children with gifts, Satan preys on them. He comes to pull them out, and gives them attention and offers them a lot more money than that you would get in volunteering for the choir, And they go, well, because producers come in and they offer money because they see money, So they all of these individuals were destined to be the voices they were, but if you look at what they were singing, it wasn't promoting, the gospel or the standards that they grew up with. And so just recently, someone who I really always liked you know, if I named the name, he's in all the movies, and I don't know why I always liked him, and he would just make me laugh just looking at him. And you know, I might mention his name, I might not, but anyway, he's very, very popular. I just saw that he turned down a contract for $10 million to play in a sequel of a movie that he had already done, and he declined it because of his faith in Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. He said, it doesn't represent my life and who I serve. And so he turned it down. And this was just in the last couple of weeks. It's a $10 to $11 million contract. And he just flat out announced that he is a Christian now. Yeah. And he's not going to do that kind of thing. And this is kind of, you don't hear a lot of that. Mm. And so it would have been nice. It would have been nice because Luther Vandross, I would wake up weeping over him, and I would pray for him all the time. And then like after a year, he passed away. Mm-hmm. But he was really young. Yeah. And I just wept because I knew that what he was called to do. Yeah. And I knew that he was sad, and I knew that he was lonely, and I knew that he had been pulled into that. And I felt the same way with Whitney Houston, and the same with Mariah Carey right now. And you know, I still pray for her. Mm-hmm. And I just don't want that to happen. So now that I've said all that, I want, Becca, what do you see in yourself and in the teenagers? What can we do to help all the teens out there? Because someone's got to come in and say, listen, this is a gift from God, and Satan is going to try to take you away from what you're called to do. And yes, you are talented. Yes, you are attractive. Yes, you are smart. But the devil will tell you these things and then pull you aside. So like, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I feel like as a teenager, things feel insignificant. Because I remember I would have dreams and I would tell my mom, oh, this happened. And she's like looking at me like, are you not getting it? Like, that's so from the Lord.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, oh, it's too random. Like, it wasn't from the Lord. And I was
it's
just
too random,
you. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like him.
Yeah.
But when I would go to someone like my mom or my grandma and they would interpret for me, I would realize the Lord was speaking to me. But in my own mind, I couldn't make sense of it. So I feel like having someone older than me to pull out those gifts and show me how I could use them. And my grandma, she was on our prayer team, and she would grab my hand and she would say, okay, I know Becca has a word. And I'm like, oh, Lord, help me have a word. But she forced me to use my gifts. Even if I felt unprepared looking at this person who's 3 times my age, she would say, all right, Becca, go. And I'm like, oh Lord, okay. So next time I knew I needed to be ready.
Yeah.
But having someone to look at me and say, oh, I know you have the gift of discernment.
Yeah.
And I know so many times I would go to my mom and say like, hey, I'm like, I wonder if this person's feeling this way. And she's like, oh yeah, we just got a call about that. So having someone out there to confirm that for you. And I know even with us girls, we'll say, hey, I don't feel right about that guy. Oh, yes, I felt that. Yes, I felt that. So having believers around you to just continually confirm that helps you so much and helps you not to get astray. Yeah. Because if I just always felt like, oh, it's so random, I'm not hearing from the Lord, I'm not hearing from the Lord. But being able to act that out has helped me so much. And I think another thing too, and it's same for all of us, and especially with teens, the enemy really wants to use your gifts against you.
That's it.
And I wake up in the night and I see horrible things. And it would used to bring me so much fear that I would want the Lord to kind of turn that gift off in me, which is not good.
No, I've done that myself. I've asked him to take it away.
Lord, I haven't slept in 7 days.
Yeah.
Every night I wake up, I'm hearing things and it felt so real to me. And so finally I would wake up and I would say, you know, you have no power here. You have got to go. You cannot be in my house. I have the authority. The Lord has the authority in my home. You have got to go. And I'd roll back over, go back to sleep. And so when that didn't have any power anymore, it had to go. But it took me years, and I'm still working on it, for the enemy not to use that against me, so that I was so exhausted. And every single time I would have something appear to me in the night, I would witness to somebody the next day, or something profound would happen.
Yeah, so it was preemptive.
It was always preemptive.
Attack,
I would have a dream about someone, and then I would text them and be like, hey, how's this going? And then I can pray for them. But there's always going to be something coming in to try to block that. Someone says something negative to you at church, and then you don't want to go prophesy, and you don't want to go pray for that person. So all in all, just going to another person and having that confirmation, and then not letting the enemy come in and,
That's such a good point about how he'll try to shut you down. Like he'll use stuff to like preempt. Somebody will say something bad to you, and then it kind of gets you a little derailed to where you're not in that flow for that person. So it's cool that you can recognize that. That's that's a good word.
Yeah. Abby, what are you feeling in your heart? Like what's the Lord saying?
I definitely feel like the devil loves attacking all of the young people's gifts. He loves when you draw something and the person's like, what does this mean? Like, this isn't for me. Or when you have a word for someone but you're too scared, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just keep to yourself. And I've really had to learn that I need to trust myself and trust God with my gifts. Because one time at church, I was drawing, and I do that to kind of get away from the warfare. It helps me settle.
Okay.
So I was drawing something, and I felt like I should give it to someone at church. And I was like, I really don't want to, but I'll do it anyway. So I give it to her, and she's like, thank you so much. And then she comes back a couple weeks later and took a picture of a scene I drew. She said her favorite thing was looking at the thing I drew. And I had no idea, obviously, in the moment, but God really, he took my gift and helped someone else, because she said it really helped her, like, focus, and really brought her down, because it let her realize that God is listening to her, and that she knows what she wants, Oh,
that's good. Now think about this. You probably could live a calmer life, an easier life, if you didn't know certain things. But see, once you know it, you can't like go back on it. And that's the thing with a lot of kids, including myself, when I was that age. I see this all the time. Kids can see things and they know things, but they're discredited for whatever reason because of we label people. But think about it. All of you ladies are born again, spirit filled believers. You have been activated in God. You have the ability, just like me or anybody else, to see into the Spirit, to discern, to know what the Spirit is doing and saying. You have the same opportunity that everybody else does. And I have found that it's better. In fact, at our company, when I worked for Southwest Airlines, we actually didn't want to hire people that had been with another company that had experience. We wanted to train them ourselves, because it took years to unlearn bad things. But if you could get somebody who was fresh and just willing, then you could teach them. But I think that teenagers actually are more able to hear and see in the Spirit, because they don't have it. There's not a lot of things that they have to unlearn. And plus, what the Lord's emphasis with me is that the teens are going to be the leaders. We're not going to have to wait till they grow up. But spiritually, think about it. You all are you're just as holy as you're ever going to be. You're going to as righteous as you ever be in the Spirit. See, and people, when I was in heaven, I saw that you're not going to get any more holy than God has made you. You're not going to get any more righteous, because the blood has done that. Okay, well, think about that. If you're not going to get any more favorable to God, because it's your position with Him through the born again, blood-bought experience, then it wouldn't matter whether you're 80 years old or 13. Spiritually, right? So why wouldn't we want to allow the teens to speak by the Spirit and share, right? So I've heard this out of almost every one of you, I think, is you revert to drawing or doing something creative at certain times, and that's where your expression in God is. But it's also a healthy way to escape if you're feeling pressure and things like that. And that's, I have my thing that I have several things that I do. I immediately go to that. You know, people would call it an escape, but it's better than going into sin and doing the things that teens are tempted to do. Whereas like, you know, if you could pick up a paintbrush or a marker or in draw, or if you can go and just be creative, that, you know, that would be a healthy alternative, right? So I noticed that I'm picking up that you all like to draw or doodle or do something, and I write. Like I just like I go right into my gifting, and the devil can't handle that. Jamie, do you find that too? Because I know you draw, of course, but that's like where you come alive, you know, and that's what the Lord told me. He said, from now on, your education system you're going to develop. So we started homeschooling the whole way up to your doctorate. Okay, but he said develop the education system so that the parents can pinpoint the giftings in their child and then route them that way. And I'm going to make courses that'll put them on a fast track to wherever they're going. Okay, so if we start talking about drawing, your face just lights up, Jamie. You know, why? Why? Because that's where your gifting is. That's where the creative ability is. So, what would you say? Because you see kids all the time, your friends, and they're going through things. But like, I could start talking about something very interesting, and all of a sudden, everybody's captured by it, and they're like, "Oh, tell us more!" And all of a sudden, they forget about the problems in their life. This happens to me all the time because that's what I do. I route myself into my gifting or into something creative that's interesting. What would you say to those watching, you know, that because everybody's got gifts, right, inside of them. And, you know, you just, all you're doing is tapping into that, right? And then do you come alive? Because I notice it on your face. Look at you. You know?
Like, I guess how I kind of found out, like, I really should, like, use that as, like, an escape, for lack of a better word, but, like, getting away from not doing something you're not supposed to.
Right.
I was just, like, I went up to my dad, I was like, Dad, I'm sad, but, like, I don't know what to do about it. He's like, just draw something. I know you like to draw, just draw something.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So then I'll just start drawing, and I'm like, get into my own world, and I just start drawing for like 6 hours. And he's like, so what did you draw? And I like show him or whatever. But like, if you just take any simple hobby, like making jewelry, like collecting like little cars or something, or like, I don't know, watching like a movie marathon or anything, like any type of hobby or anything.
As long as it's not Shark Week.
Just like any hobby or anything that is not like something bad, like something that would hurt other people, then go for it. Do it. I encourage you, like, you know, like,
It's so funny is I thought of you last week because there was some sort of like they post things about different animals and insects and beautiful things, you know, it's like really good photography. And there was this one butterfly that when he put his wings a certain way, it made it look like any predator that would come at it. He looked like it was a snake. It was a snake head. The way his wings were, it flipped me out because I thought that's a snake, and then I'm like, no, that's a big butterfly. And I thought about how beautiful that was, but I thought about like God, like thought of that and did that, and they showed other animals where like from a predator's point of view, they wouldn't go near it. Because of that. And then I thought how the beauty, if you would have seen the design that was in there, and then they started showing the birds, and I thought, man, I could see why people would want to draw, but it captured me, and I thought of you. I thought, you know, think about it, like what you've drawn for us. That was inside of you, and now it's on a piece of paper. So it's kind of like you're creating. It's like you're creating. And I thought of you last week that God's going to give you like original original ideas. Because you know what I do? Like one of the things I do is, the girl that painted Jesus, I can't pronounce her name, Akina or whatever. She's one of the few people that I want to meet. I really want to meet her, and I will meet her. I already told the Lord Jesus. I said I'm gonna have lunch with her, and and I'm gonna let her talk. I'm not gonna say a word. I just want her to talk. But you know what I do? I watch all her YouTube where she paints, and she talks and she says, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And I watch her over time. She's always doing something. I watch her take what's inside of her and put it out on the paper, and if you hear the story about how she painted Jesus and what happened there, it's amazing because she was the closest to representing Jesus when I met him in person. And I spent a lot of time with him in that 45 minutes. And then since then, I've had other experiences where the dream went on for 5 hours. So I got a good look at him in that amount of time. And she was the most accurate of all the paintings that I had ever seen. I thought she nailed it, And then I since then I've had an artist, he was able to even get closer to what I saw. But anyway, we all have creative side of us because God is a creator and he made us in his image. So what would you encourage someone, Jamie, before we go to Meah? I want you to just give a word to everybody watching. What like if you felt sad, like you feel sad, like I sometimes I feel like I'm overwhelmed because I'm doing so much, is I just go and watch her paint. She doesn't even know that I know her, but I watch her paint because I look at her as being someone who's taking from the other realm and putting it on paper. To me, that's what I look at. So I want to know what it's like to be her. And so like, what would you say to somebody? Because there's people out there that would appreciate a teenager that would just yield to their gifting. I mean, I've met teenagers, they just start singing and they don't even need instruments or anybody accompanying them. They don't even need a microphone. I mean, on my plane, I've had teenagers, their mom says, hey, can my daughter sing to the airplane? I'm like, well, she's gonna have to try out first because I don't want to so she comes up and she just starts singing. I'm like, here's the microphone. I couldn't believe it. No instruments or anything. So what would you say? Because it takes me out of sadness to watch someone else just be in their gifting.
What would I say?
Just don't just encourage people right now that are listening, like what you do to encourage them. Just tell you're going to say, well, you just tell them, but no, I want you to tell them. But you go to your gifting. And so what you would just encourage teenagers that to find out what it is that makes them happy, that something, because drawing makes you happy, right? And so when you do that, the power of the devil is diminished, right?
That's good.
Okay, why? Why? Tell me why. What is happening inside that causes the devil to have like a little baby voice, a little squeaky mouse voice?
It's like a force field almost. It's
okay, that's good.
Yeah, so it's like nothing could touch me when I'm in that element.
Wow.
And and when someone's trying to get my attention, I'm like in my own world. It's like going into like another dimension, honestly. It's like I just forget about time and anything I'm worried about. And it's just like, I'll just be painting and I can't stop. Like it just keeps going. And I don't know. It's just like the world stops for a little bit.
That's it.
And I'm like, I feel the best whenever I'm drawing or painting or anything. Just because I'm in my own world and I'm like focused on myself and the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's good.
That is really good.
Really good.
I feel as though we've come into a new realm, like a new phase right now in this generation of revelation like never before. And I am not going to let this generation of teenagers be wasted. You know, I'm not going to give them over to the world. And I'm very protective right now because I know that your generation will see the coming of the Lord. And I know that. I don't know when Jesus is coming, but I just telling you in my spirit, I believe that it's the next generation because of things that the Lord has said to me, because he doesn't know. But he is showing me how important your age group is, and that the devil is very, very worried that he is doing all that he can to stop the teenagers and kids, you know, from people from being born right now, the babies from being born. So, Meah, do you draw or do you write? Like, as far as like, what is it that's your creative, like, what do you respond to the best? What's your language other than just verbal? Do you do something else like draw or write or?
I like doodling.
Doodling, and then what does that mean?
It's kind of just, I start with like a little circle and then I just expand
out on it.
And I just keep going.
Okay, but see, that's what God did when he spoke. It was a pinpoint, you know, and then it expands out. I'm the same way. I start in the center and then I add things on the outside. So I'm mesmerized. I don't know if we want to use that word, but I can't think of the word because then you want to say I'm mesmerized. I get captured with designs, but they're not just symmetrical designs, you know, like everybody looks for like order and symmetrical. I like the swirls, and that's why I like to look at butterfly wings and wings of different birds, and then I actually stare at at the zebra stripes, and I'm fascinated by flowers, and I'm serious. When I'm praying in tongues, I will like pull up all kinds of different nature designs and pictures, sunsets. I remember in Hawaii watching the sunset over the ocean and being on this island in the middle of nowhere and watching the sunset. And they say that for some reason over there, at a certain point, when the sun is almost set, there'll be a flash. So everybody gathers because it's over the water, and it's just an effect that happens there. I've never seen it happen anywhere else. So we're all waiting. The sun's going down, and all of a sudden it flashes. And I remember how the sky looked because it's so much more beautiful over there. Every bird, there's no boring birds over there. There's no boring bugs. There's nothing boring. The fish nothing's boring, you know. And it was the same way in Australia. There was nothing normal over there. Everything was beautiful. So why do you think, because it's not, what you draw, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. But see, most people will be irritated by that. Because they want, like, you know. So what is that? What do you understand what's going on there?
Well, naturally, I like things to be very symmetrical. Like, I try to keep everything, like, but when you're doodling, it's just different. Like, it's so special creating something that no one else can create.
Oh, that's good.
You know, like, I'm just doing shapes, and you're like, I've never seen that before. So it's just cool seeing how I can create something so different and so amazing looking. Yeah.
You know, I remember this with Kathi. You know, Kathi has her hair a certain way. And I remember one day I saw her in the future, and she had a certain hairstyle. And it was shorter hair, and it was a certain style at the time that I'd never seen. It just started happening. And I didn't know how to tell her that I was creating, but it wasn't that I was creating. I literally saw that she was going to have that hairstyle, but I didn't want to so I waited and waited. Well, it didn't happen, you know. So I just kind of said to her, I said, would you ever let me, if I can choose, if I can choose flowers for you, I could choose this or that. could I choose your hairstyle? You know. And so she said, well, she's a hairstylist, so I'm thinking, well, she's going to be very particular. But I showed you that picture. I found a picture, and she went and got it cut that way. And she looked so hot that I couldn't. She was irresistible. It was like, but what was so weird is I had this creative part of me that I could see a person. I could design that. And then I went and found it, and then I just gave her a picture of it. Yeah. But then it became that. And so all those months that she had that hairstyle, and I kept saying, "Go back," and it was as expensive as buying a car to me at the time. What they would charge to do that type of hair.
We found the person who could do it. She nailed it.
And she nailed it.
Yeah.
But it was wild. Every time I would look at her, I would say, I saw the future. I saw her with this hairstyle, and I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's what you're like, for you to start it, like, and just start drawing. It's like, are you looking inside? How are you getting that? Is it something that you're drawing out from the inside out? Like, what is your next line that you do? It feels like you're guessing sometimes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do you ever get like an image of like how it's supposed to go?
Yeah. So last night I was drawing the Warrior Notes logo on my thing, and it just like kept going. Like I just like the little swirls went everywhere, and like I'll take one image, like a little flower or something, but then I expand on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's. I'm going to pray, and this has been really good. Kathi, do you have anything you wanted to add before
I did want to add one thing. As I keep thinking about that scripture talks about, to him. This is like King James, of course, but to him who has shall more be given, and to him who has not, even that which he has will be taken away. But what I saw is you guys are learning to, whether it's like yielding to your creative gifts, or yielding to like you drawing like a word of the Lord in a sense and giving it to somebody, and you yielding to that discernment. It's like you guys are developing pathways to where it's going to become more and more easy. It's going to become normal for you guys to yield to the things of the Lord. It's like going to be exponential the more you do that. It's like you're developing healthy patterns in your mind and in your spirit and in your hearts. And it's just really cool to see that happening.
That's awesome.
Abby, I just feel like you're supposed to pray. We'll just pray. Let's pray for everyone's gift that's watching to just expand and become evident. I wish I would have known that we could do this, but God needs to show everybody that's watching that what's inside of them, and let's just ask for a miracle. Go ahead, Ab.
God, I pray that all the teens watching will have these gifts flourish out of them, God, and that even if they don't know what their gift or their purpose is right now, that in the future they will know that they will have a purpose, God, and that no matter what their gift is, God loves them no matter what, and that you can use these gifts to help people, God. And I pray that you'll give them wisdom with their gifts and show them how to use it the right way. Amen.
Amen. Well, God bless you. Thank you all for watching Warrior Teens, and we're just excited about what God has for your life, and we're going to see that and hear it. Yeah. And when you watch these videos, make sure you comment, and make sure you go back, because you can go back and then you can comment when God does move, because I know he's going to, because I'm not doing this to waste your time or my time. I'm doing this because God cares about you, and he has a plan for your life. And the devil has nothing to say about what God has already spoken over you. He has nothing he can say against you, because God is for you. God bless you. We'll see you next time on Warrior Teens. Bye-bye.